Well, hello everyone and welcome to the midweek recap. Well, not the midweek recap, the Road to F1 review, where today we will be talking about the final Formula 2 race of the 2020 season. Now, before we go into things, be sure to leave a like, comment and subscribe to this channel. Follow us on Twitter at RaceWeek_show. And visit the RaceWeek site at raceweekblog.com. Without further ado, let's go in to the Road to F1 review, where we review the Sakhir Grand Prix weekend. So, the feature race got underway with Yuki Tsunoda on pole position, but he lost out going into the first corner. Nikita Mazepin got a great launch and was able to take the lead, whilst he had Felipe Drugovich dropping down the order. Robert Schwartzman managed to get past, and then he also managed to get ahead of Tsunoda in the end, whilst Mick Schumacher was making his way through the field, siding his way through on the alternate strategy. Here you have the battle for second place. Yuki Tsunoda going for a move on Robert Schwartzman. But then the race changed in the pit stops as Schwartzman pitted early and actually managed to jump Mazepin, but Mazepin managed to get through. But then Yuki Tsunoda managed to overcut both. But with the colder tyres, both Mazepin and Schwartzman were able to get through, whilst Callum Ilott was having a bit of a struggle of a race in the midfield. But here he is, finally managing to get past Jehan Daruvala, whilst Mick Schumacher on the alternate strategy, pitting in late. And then on the fresher tyres, he made up ground, getting up, making his way up to, I believe, 6th he got to in the end. But then came the battle for the lead, where you had Yuki Tsunoda managing to get, battling it out with Nikita Mazepin. There was a little bit of rash defence, which caused a lot of outrage on social media. But Tsunoda managed to get past the high-tech driver. And then there was an interesting battle. Here you can see Drugovich managing to get past Schwartzman on fresher tyres. And then Drugovich had to fight quite hard to get past Mazepin and could not quite manage because of the defence. Whilst here you have Mick Schumacher making his way past Pedro Piquet. Here is Yuki Tsunoda in the lead of the race. And this is how close things got. Guan Yu Zhou was on the alternate strategy and making his way to the field, but he had a 5-second time penalty. He managed to get past a lot of them other than Tsunoda and put out a good enough gap to hold second. But it was Yuki Tsunoda who won the race ahead of Zhou. Nikita Mazepin originally finished in 3rd, but he received 2 5-second time penalties for his defences, which dropped him down to 9th. This put Felipe Drugovich in 3rd place, Robert Schwartzman in 4th, Callum Ilott 5th, Mick Schumacher in 6th, so 3rd on the grid for the Sunday race. With a 15-point gap, it was all looking good for Schumacher at this point. Then it was Daruvala, Ticktum, Piquet and Armstrong rounding out the points, whilst all 22 cars made it to the finish. So, the title decider. It was time for the title decider. The Formula 2 title was about to be settled. It was Dan Ticktum on pole position, and he managed to defend the lead. But Mick Schumacher got a great launch and managed to get up into 2nd place. And you think at this point, all going well for Mick. But then he locked up horribly going into turn 4. That flat spotted his tyre, and he lost out to Daruvala for 2nd place, but eventually he managed to get back past. However, Daruvala did then manage to find a way back past, and then Schumacher was running out of pace on that flat-spotted tyre. Here you can see, whilst Jehan Daruvala was putting Dan Ticktum under a lot of pressure for the lead, with Ticktum doing everything he could to keep him behind, whilst Mick Schumacher was struggling and leading quite a train, being passed by everyone. Eventually, he had to pit. And at this point, with Callum Ilott running in 3rd place at this point, his title looked like it was a genuine threat. But Callum Ilott, then his tyres started to run out towards the end. Whilst here you have the battle for the lead. Deruvala taking the lead of the race. And Ticktum could not do anything. And then at the end of the race, Yuki Tsunoda, who progressed up to 3rd, closes on Dan Ticktum, manages to get past at the very last corner. But it was Jehan Deruvala who took the victory. But Callum Ilott could not do enough to take the title away from Mick Schumacher. Despite finishing way down the order, Mick Schumacher won the title. It was Deruvala that won the race ahead of Tsunoda. Carlin won 2 to finish the season. Then it was Dan Ticktum, Guan Yu Zhou, Robert Schwartzman, Giuliano Alesi, Luca Giotto, with Felipe Drugovich taking the final point of the year. Nikita Mazepin finished in 9th with Callum Ilott rounding out the top 10 and not scoring a point. It was quite an exciting race that saw quite an exciting end to an exciting season, which saw Mick Schumacher take the Formula 2 title. And taking a look at the final Formula 2 standings after this race, it was Mick Schumacher who won the championship by 14 points, back to Callum Ilott in 2nd. Yuki Tsunoda almost managed to pass Callum Ilott after a really successful final weekend of the season, finishing just 1 point adrift, the Virtuosi driver, ahead of Robert Schwartzman, who will be remaining with Prima next year. Nikita Mazepin finished in 6th. Guan Yu Zhou jumped up to 6th at the last race, but it can be said that he had quite an unlucky season. He could have challenged for the title had he not been unlucky. Christian Lundgaard had a bad end to the season, finishing in 7th place, ahead of Louis Delattrez in 8th for Charouz. Felipe Drugovich was probably the surprise of the year, managing to finish in 9th, taking 3 victories after not really making much headlines in F3 last year. But he seemed to come into his own in this machinery, and now he's off to Virtuosi for next season. Maybe he could fight for the championship next year. Luca Giotto finished in 10th, taking a win, ahead of Dan Ticktum in 11th. Jehan Deruvala had a reasonable first year to finish in 12th. I'd say Marcus Armstrong will be quite disappointed with the season because he was tipped to be a title contender, but he could not be in contention. Jack Aitken missed the last race and had a bit of a bad season, finishing in 14th. Not as good as what he managed last year. Nobuharu Matsushita missed the last 3 rounds of the season and finished in 15th. Instead of Yuri Vips, who did a great stand-in appearance in place of Sean Galeo after his back injury. Giuliano Alesi moved to MP Motorsport mid-season and seemed to have an upturn in pace after that, having a solid final weekend of the year with good qualifying. A miserable season for Artem Markelov, finishing in 18th. The HWA team really struggled this year. Roy Nissany had a couple of flashes of pace in 19th. Then Pedro Piquet, who will not be contesting the Formula 2 season next year, citing money reasons as the reason why. Sean Galeo was 21st, having missed a chunk of the season due to an injury sustained in Barcelona. Marino Sato finished in 22nd, taking 1 point ahead with Jake Hughes, Guillermo Samaya, Ralph Boschung and Teo Porcher not scoring, with Samaya as the only one who did the full season not to score a point. The likes of Hughes, Boschung and Porcher only did 1 or 2 weekends. So that is it. Be sure to check out. There's going to be reviews of both this season and the F3 season in the off season that will be coming on this channel and on the RaceWeek blogs as well. There will be reviews of all 3 of the championships, F3, F2 and obviously F1 coming up on the channel. And the next video that will be on this channel will probably be Moments of the Week. But if in case you're saying that the content has kind of been a bit less this week on all platforms, it's because I have been very, very busy with uni work that I've not had the time. That's why the Saturday recap was missed. Uni work got in the way. I've been very busy with that. But hopefully, once that's all done, then I will be back to being as regular as I was. That's why the race dissertation on the RaceWeek blog will be a combined between the Bahrain and the Sakir race. Due to my uni stuff, I was not able to complete it in time. But the next video should be the Moments of the Week, but I can't promise if I'm going to be able to do that, but because of the work. But that is it from the race, the Formula 2, the Road to F1 reviews. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at RaceWeek_show, subscribe to this YouTube channel, and make sure you visit the RaceWeek site at raceweekblog.com. Thank you very much for watching, and as far as live shows are concerned, we'll see you on Friday for the Friday recap for Abu Dhabi. Goodbye.